NSFW. What are some dirty secrets you have seen at a bachelorette party that could ruin the marriage? Two of the 3 bachelor parties I've been to were pretty vanilla. Drinks, grill, video games. Of course one of those omitted the drinks because Jesus. The third however was more fun. So turns out the groom and one of the groomsmen were lovers at one point. Completely unbeknownst to the rest of the world. The groomsman, Chris, decides that tonight was the optimal time to tell the groom, Harris, that he loved him. That he's always loved him since the first time they kissed however long ago. The rest of us just sat there in stunned silence. Right there in my living room they have this huge argument about how Harris wasn't gay and how Chris said he was okay with just being occasional F-bros for the last 5 years, but they both knew it had to end when he got engaged. Finally it devolved into an actual fist fight and they both ended up with some nasty bruises. We broke it up eventually, but sometimes you just have to let out your physical frustration with your gay lover the night before he gets married. It's one of those weird things though. After it was over and they both calmed down, they just gave a big hug and that was that. Next morning Harris's dad is obviously curious why he has a black eye. We'd agreed to say paintball to everyone and that was the official story. Chris had a bruise too, but he's really black so you couldn't tell that much. Harris's sister used some concealer or something on his eye and the wedding went off without a hitch. Harris is still married to his wife and Chris is still his best friend. So all's well that ends well, I suppose. I worked in a photo lab. Normally it was cats and houses in the pics. But then a woman dropping of a few rolls of film was acting oddly. This is usually a clear sign that the pictures were going to be interesting. It was a bachelorette party. Normal stuff at first. The women were all fairly pretty. Then a safari-themed street ipper was being featured. The pictures show most of the women at the party BL wing the STRPPER. Then the S-Ripper got the bride practically naked in a circle of them and dry humped her in several ways. Rubbing his junk all over her. Then the pics were in a bedroom. The bride and another girl had sex with the Saint Ipper. My guess was they were alternating who was taking pictures. The last photo was ACMSHOT on the ring. In New Orleans our bachelor group found a bachelorette group and started talking, dancing, etc. It was late in the night at this time. And our bachelor was dancing with their bachelorette mostly at the urging of the bridesmaids because they thought it would be cute. Not too long into it he gets belligerently handsy and heads a bit up the skirt. I didn't see the act but spun around when one of the bridesmaids hollered, "Your bachelor just read our bachelorette." We bounced immediately. Not exactly an answer to the question. But I was on a bachelor party that ended horribly when his fiancée learned he had been cheating on her for the entire first half of their relationship. She called off the marriage over the phone with him while we were all getting drunk at a bar. Mood went from lighthearted to catastrophic in an instant. And none of his friends knew about it, so consoling him was really hard. Since he was so clearly in the wrong. Went to a friend's bachelor party as a DD. Everyone was very drunk. Groom decided to have sex with the best man in the middle of a public parking lot. This was when we realized he liked men. Needless to say his now wife still doesn't know he likes to have sex with men. One time at a bachelorette party I found out that the bride was a lesbian and didn't want to get married. But she was doing it because her parents liked her fiancé and they were really good friends. So she thought the marriage would be okay. I don't know if she ever told her husband about that. But they did end up divorcing later. Right around the time my brother-in-law U200B was drunk enough to get maudlin. His friends and I duct taped him to a tree. Specifically, the tree he'd be getting married under about 16 hours later. I will definitely not be having my bachelor party the night before the wedding. My friend SCR wed a stripper at his bachelor party. We bought him a lap dance and he disappeared for about an hour. Apparently he paid a little extra and had some more fun. My ex-girlfriend said she f'd a whole bachelor party in Vegas a few years ago. She also said that there was video somewhere that one of the guys took. She is half Japanese and half Filipina. About 5 feet tall. And skinny yet fit and was wearing a blue dress for you Reddit detectives that want to try to find it. I attended an old college friend's bachelor party. Worst that happened that night was he got a lap dance. His fiancée knew about that. Allegedly. Couple of weeks later I am out getting a few drinks with another group of friends. We have too many drinks and think it's a great idea to go to this scummy dive bar, think the kind of place the Always Sunny gang would find homely. Lo and behold, he was there in a shady booth, inspecting the tonsils of a vintage Walmart ham beast. He is clearly wasted and doesn't see me. I get another drink, figuring I will get up the nerve to do something. Spoiler alert, I do jack it. He leaves with the girl after performing a digital cervical inspection of his prize for the evening. No idea what happened that night. He lived with his fiancée, but a couple of weeks later I get an email saying the wedding is off. Still friends with both of them on Facebook. But yeah, they are not together anymore. Bachelor drunk texted his ex when the party started winding down. Got back to where we were staying and he ended up sexting with her for hours. Sending pictures and all that it. Apparently it happened a few more times after the wedding, too. I know of a couple that are together because the girl got pregnant. I also know who the father is, hint, not the person she married. The guy who was the father was there at her version of a bachelorette party. He was her best friend, so he threw her a private party, like 5 of us. I was there for the first little bit as a close friend. But things heated up, so I got the hint and bounced. The one good thing you can do now is telling the husband so he can have the chance of an honest life. Damn, I really never get woman who can let her husband raise another man's child without him knowing the child's not his. Repost of mine from a few years ago, one of the craziest nights of my life. There was 9 of us. 5 of us were all buddies since elementary school, high school, Inc. Groom, and the other 4 were more friends of the groom, but we all know each other at least a little bit. We go to the RIP club and everyone is having a great time. Nothing out of the ordinary or over the top until this chick we knew from high school gets on the stage. I partied with her a few times in HS and didn't really know her all that well. She totally digs the fact that we are there, so she gives us a little extra attention, and once she was done on stage she took a few of the boys to the private showing room, not me. Sometime as the night is going on, one of the boys convince her to come back to the house we were going to afterwards. Little did I know at the time that one of the groom's friends had some blow, so it wasn't very hard to convince her. We get back to the house and everyone is pretty drunk. The guy with the blow and the strpper are in a room for a while, and after she comes out she is ready to give every guy a turn. We found out after that Mr. Blow told her she could have his bag if he hooked up with everyone at the party. The groom passed. One of my HS buddies went next and I was third. Unfortunately I don't remember everything in great detail because I was drunk and HGH, but the stripper gave me a wicked lap dance and then I just got a BLWJB. Not long after that I passed out for the night, but every guy except for the groom and one other married guy got something from the strpper. 2 guys tag teamed her and got it on video, haven't seen it, and she left with Mr. Blow at like 5 a.m. By CH stole my WD after I passed out, but for the amount I had and getting a free blow JB it wasn't too bad of a trade-off, lol. This happened a couple of years ago. Cousin was having his bachelor's party. But the guys got stuck with the kids so that the ladies could go crazy with their bachelorette party. So it was just pizza and Marvel movie marathon for the party. Next day I get a message saying that there will be a real bachelor party tonight to make up for getting stuck babysitting kids. This turns into a typical drink fest. Gambling, GF, wife ranting, etc. Cousin's friend then announces that he hired a strpper just as the doorbell rang. Turns out the Saint Ipper was my cousin's ex-GF of 3 years. So she starts doing her stripper routine. Which was not that great emo, clearly not a professional. She spends most of the time dancing for my cousin, which I could tell was a clear bet you wish you kept me. So she's finally done with her performance and goes to leave, but offers a more private performance for the groom. And since the groom had a few too many shots, he agrees and both head to the bathroom. All the while all the guys are hooting them on. 4 years later I see his ex at the grocery store with a little girl that looked to be 3 or 4 years old. I just turn around to avoid her seeing me. Head to the cashier. Grabbed my stuff. And just ran. I never dared tell him since he and his wife are in a happy relationship and trying to have a child together. First bachelor party when I was 18 and worked in a summer role at a petroleum engineering company. My colleagues were all young engineers in their 20s earning the big bucks. We went to the house where the party was and was handed a drink and a door prize number. We went down the stairs into the basement. And the first room had the groom tied to a chair with a drip of some rum drink going into his mouth. The TV had VHS PRN on it. This was back then. In came STRPPERS, which proceeded to use their breasts to face paint all the participants. After a while, some of the girls left, while the others did the traditional groom tied to a chair and having a lap dance process. Turns out the door prize was one of the STRPPERS. I assumed that all bachelor parties would be similar. I can say, now, 35 years later, no. Was invited to a bachelor party once. We played so much Smash Bros and ate so much pizza I don't know how he made it to the wedding in the morning. My God, I don't know if the marriage would survive if the bride found out how much we drank. It must have been at least half a gallon of soda. The stripper got his D sucked by the bride-to-be. Actually, aside from the bachelorette party, I'm surprised she hasn't cheated on him. Her Gina's a free spirit. I got really drunk with the groom and I was the best man. We slept together that night. No sex. We just cuddled. Nothing like a bro cuddle. No homo. Cementing the fact that you are the best man. Not a bachelor party but a golf tournament weekend with a bunch of people from our office. A girl I worked with just went wild. Got drunk and was giving lap dances. FL shing. Letting guys put money in her PNTIES. Etc. She later disappeared into the woods with 2 separate guys and was making out in a bar with another later in the evening. I had known her for a few years and had never seen any inclination for that type of behavior out of her. Monday at work I talked with her and she was beside herself with guilt. I didn't tell her husband or anyone else about the weekend. Pretty sure her marriage would have been over if he had found out about it at the time. But this was at least 13 to 14 years ago. I think the only thing that saved her was that this was before the time of Snapchat, Twitter, etc. No way her behavior wouldn't have been documented today. This will be buried so I'm okay saying it. He licked a stripper's a hole.